Hello, my friends. Welcome. Hey, David. Great to see you. All right. So, we're going to make this an interactive session, which means I'm going to invite everyone to have their cameras on today. That's what will allow this to be A, more immersive, and B, more solution oriented for you. And the goal and the objective today is to really have you walk away with what you feel is version one of your irresistible offer. So let's get our cameras on. We'll give our friends a few minutes to get settled in, and we'll get started in just a moment. All right. Welcome, David. Welcome, Lori. Hey, Paul. It's great to see you. All right. I see Elizabeth, Aurora, Curtis, Olga. Welcome, Olga. Great to have you here. Okay, we'll give everyone a few more minutes. Get your cameras on. And as we're, just getting settled in, my ask of you is to just reflect on something that you're grateful for. So you can go ahead and type that into the chat. What's something that you're grateful for right now that we can celebrate? I'm grateful for this beautiful weather that we're having right now and just the opportunity to sit outside, to hear the birds, to water my flowers. It's the simple things in life that bring us joy, isn't it? Okay, so go ahead and type into the chat what you're grateful for. Okay, Laurie mulched her garden beds. It's such a satisfying gardening, so satisfying, right? It just gives me such a dopamine hit. Cleaning up, gardening, painting, even washing my car, like just simple things like that, just for whatever reason, light me up the most. Okay, David says God's taking care of him through his ups and downs. Yeah, I mean, it's been a very interesting last few years for I think a lot of people, including myself. And it's getting more and more interesting. So here we are, right? And I like to say whenever anyone asks me how are things going, I say I'm taking life one breath at a time. That's all we can do, one breath at a time. Breathing for this moment, thinking for this moment, being present in this moment instead of living 100 years in the future or living, even 20 minutes in the past. The more we can learn how to be present, the more we can witness what God has to offer us, right? And I firmly believe the solutions and really the answers to all the questions we have are in this moment. That's where you'll find them, is in this moment. All right. If we're present to it, it's available to us. All right. Sarah says sunshine. Yeah, can't go wrong with sunshine. And restful sleep, says Phyllis. Okay. Olga says her dogs. Olga, interesting story. So I actually have a client of mine who we've been working on for quite some time. GI issues, like she's a single female and, doing her best at being healthy, taking supplements, consulted me to try to really consolidate things that she was taking. And we ran some genetic testing on her. We put her on a really tightened up supplement protocol, and she got a lot better. But I got on a call with her this past week, and she had a significant spike in her HRV despite sleeping less and being under more stress than normal because she got a puppy. So in 3 weeks of having the puppy, uh, when I've never raised a young puppy, certainly I've never had a dog, but I understand that it's most challenging in the beginning, right? Just like a baby, I would imagine. I have raised a baby, not by myself, of course, but with her, she was sleeping less, being more attentive to the child, the baby, the puppy, and even despite those things, which would traditionally kind of throw us off, her heart rate improved, her HRV improved, and her happiness improved. Most importantly, her GI symptoms that she had originally, what prompted her to come see me, those significantly improved. So sometimes, oxytocin, a sense of purpose, really, really having, experiencing and giving unconditional love is such potent medicine. So I can definitely, uh, we have evidence now that actually quantified the improvement in her scores. So I see Lori there with her dog. Deepa and I came this close to getting a puppy. We actually, during COVID, because my son's an only child, we were really debating. Neither of us grew up in a household with pets, so our parents are not very pet familiar. They're not that they're pet unfriendly, just not pet familiar. And so we always hesitated because of how much we would travel, and it wouldn't be fair to the dog or the pet if we couldn't take it with us. So we ended up putting it off for a long time, and then COVID came around and we pulled the trigger. We actually went and met the dog, put a deposit on it, and then Deepa's HRV completely tanked. The whole week leading up to the process, she couldn't sleep. She knew that it would all fall back on her. I was very transparent and clear with her. If you get this dog, I'm not taking care of it. So I was very clear with her. I set those boundaries, and she knew my son, he might do it for a week or two, but then after that, it would all fall back on her. So her nervous system completely nosedived, and we ended up buying everything we needed for the pet. But at the last minute, you know, lost our deposit and declined to take it in with us. And who knows how different our lives would be had we taken it in. Certainly, there's no way to know for sure. But from what I'm gathering from even people that I'm speaking to, people are on this call right now, having that companionship, that unconditional love, that deep sense of purpose and belonging, and yeah, it's a powerful thing. So might be there's Deborah with her dog. Yeah, you could just see how much like happier Deborah is with her dog in her head. uh, so thank you for bringing your pets on. Kids are welcome on these calls. Pets are certainly welcome as well. All right. So I always give people an opportunity to express gratitude, and it's always interesting who expresses gratitude and who doesn't. Let that be a reflection to you. When given the opportunity, express gratitude. You still have a chance to type in the chat what you're grateful for. Steve Harvey said that imagine you woke up tomorrow and only the things that you were grateful for today were present in your life. Right? Gives you time, gives you an opportunity to reflect. So gratitude is something that's super important. Okay. If you learn nothing else from today, there's your lesson for the day. All right. So you're all here because you want to create an irresistible offer. My goal is to have you out of here by the top of the hour. My goal is to answer any questions that you have. And certainly, I want you leaving here with some sense of accomplishment and perhaps something that you can take to your community as early as right after this call. There might be people you might think of texting or emailing, or certainly at some point this week. I hope you jump in and take action. So my friend Dean Jackson would say that it's better to have an irresistible offer than a more convincing argument. Okay. So sometimes when we're making an offer, we're presenting such a good argument for people to take action, right? And it's irresistible to us, but an irresistible offer needs to be irresistible to the person taking action, not you. Right? So when we're trying to make a convincing argument, it comes from a place of perhaps us projecting onto the client what we think they want. How many of you are guilty of that? Okay. And if your hand isn't going up, you haven't been doing this long enough, right? We will often project what we want for our clients onto them. And that's not the energy we want to be in, right? We need them to want what we're offering more than we want to offer it to them, or at least equally, When it's imbalanced, then there isn't the right energetic exchange or even just the right energy around the whole process. When your offer is irresistible, you will never feel icky making it. In fact, you will feel icky not making it. Now, your irresistible offer will also, one way to know you have an irresistible offer is, does it create resistance in you? And the resistance is going to come from, oh my God, I'm giving too much. Okay, so that's where your resistance is going to come up. Oh my God, is that something that I can actually give away? Is that the price I can give it away at? And so today I'm going to make not a convincing argument, but I'm going to show you how our resistible offer, just turned out to be so instrumental and life-changing in our business. And, when I reverse engineered the thought process that went into it, I said, you know what, I'd love to share this with my community. So I could definitely keep all of this a secret and not share it with any one of you. But because I'm grateful for the opportunity to, and because I want people in my ecosystem and sphere to be successful, I'm sharing it with all of you. Okay. So all I ask is that you engage and participate and have your cameras on if you can, right? That's my only ask in return, because it just allows us to move forward faster. Okay. I know some of you are in the witness protection program. I know some of you are trying to be the best kept secret and you don't want anyone to see you anywhere you go. Okay. And God forbid, would you be visible, right? Publicly visible. But no, I get it, right? So do your best to be on camera. It'll just help you get more out of this. And when you're on camera, I'm actually paying attention to your nervous systems, right? The way you're breathing, the way you're nodding, when you're raising your hands and not raising your hands, it just helps me understand if I'm going too fast, too slow, if I'm losing you, if you're leaning in. Okay. All right. Now, there's going to be several steps, but there's going to be a few things I want you to take into consideration as a matter of discussion. So fortunately, I'm privy to information or knowledge or insights that the average practitioner may not be. And because of that, it gives me an opportunity to see, I guess, somewhat into the future. Okay, so I can see into the future because I can see some of the trends before they become mainstream knowledge. I can see, because I'm also an investor and work in different capacities in early stage companies and things like that. I know where money is going in this industry. Okay. And so one of the things that's happening that you all need to be aware of is there is a lot of private equity money coming into this space. So private equity means that there's, people with deep pockets, trust funds, hedge funds that, pool money and they buy up, companies in this space, or they, create companies in this space, and they have basically unlimited deep pockets to work with. Okay. And as a result of that, what that means for us is that you're going to see people that are perhaps less qualified, less passionate, less knowledgeable, okay, coming into this space and just completely wiping everyone else out. Because what they have is millions of dollars to invest in marketing. Okay, so that means if your sole strategy is like online ads, right? There's always going to be someone that could outspend you. Right? So we can't win at that game, right? Because when you're playing against somebody who has unlimited pockets, right? Unlimited depth to their pockets, who can lose millions of dollars for several years, wipe out the market, and then completely monopolize it. That's what's coming up. Okay. And it's not going to happen next week. It's not going to happen next month, but that's the direction things are heading in. So we've already seen, big, supplement brands that we love be purchased by private equity. right? I won't name names, but we all know companies that have been purchased by private equity, and that changes the brands, right? It changes the original purpose uh, of uh, of that brand, because the stakeholder isn't the patient, the stakeholder is the investors, right? In our practices, our stakeholders are ourselves, of course, but it's our clients that we work with, right? So there's going to be a lot of change that's happening. And so we have to be prepared for that, right? And because we can't win with spending more money, we've got to win by being savvier. We've got to win by being more irresistible. We have to win by creating more value. Okay. And we also have to understand how business works. So, this whole concept, this whole idea that I'm going to talk about today, uh, is not something I would have even thought of many years ago. And maybe I wasn't ready for it, right? Sometimes the ideas come to us when we're ready for them. Sometimes there has to be a few, balls that fall into place, and then the idea becomes so very evident, right? And sometimes you have to be prepared to execute the idea. So I realized many years ago I wasn't prepared to even execute the idea the way we're going to be sharing it with you. And so for the last 2 years, I've been trying to figure out, how do we spend, less money on Facebook? I don't think Mark Zuckerberg needs my money or your money or anyone else's money. And I would hear over and over again that people who are spending money on ads, especially trying to get consultations, were spending hundreds of dollars per consultation. Okay. Anyone here ever run paid ads? Okay. So maybe I'm talking into a black hole here, because what people would do is they would hire marketing agencies, and they would spend thousands of dollars on the marketing agency, who would then get them to spend thousands of dollars on ads. And then they would basically, be paying $300 to $500 to get on a discovery call with somebody. That's what the unit economics was. And that's okay if, you're charging $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a program, and it works. The math works for some businesses, so they keep spending it. But that just drives up the cost of everything that they offer as well, because they have to build the marketing cost into their programs. Is that making sense to everyone? Okay. So what if your competition is spending $500 for a consultation, which is essentially, it can feel like a glorified sales call. So if your competition is paying, let's call it $300 to $500 for that, you'd have to spend just as much or more, right? Which is maybe not attainable for most people, right? Certainly, especially when you're starting out. But the way we can win is by coming in at a lower cost per acquisition. So the cost per acquisition is the cost that it either time or money that it costs you to get on a phone call with somebody and then acquire them as a patient. So if we can get that to less than $300, right, that's a win, right? You're doing better than people who have unlimited pockets. Of course, they can always outspend you, but if we can get it lower than that, then that's a good place to start. But what if we could get paid to get on that call? Okay, so now we're talking. So now the script is completely flipped, right? If I could get paid to get on a call with somebody, and my competition is spending $300 to $500 to get on a call to talk with somebody, I'm already winning there, right? Raise your hand if you see that I'm winning, we're all winning, right? If that happens, so we're paying less money. Then the question becomes, what if I could also add more value? Right? So what if I could create an offer that's actually more valuable than that call? More valuable than the call that's costing them $500. And what if that call already moves that person 10 steps forward to working with me, as opposed to just getting on a discovery call and we're all at ground zero. Okay. So to me, that would be a winning offer, right? I get paid to get on that call. I deliver more value and they're 10 steps ahead. Okay. And instead of selling them the invisible, telling them, hey, here's what we can do to get you a result, I'm delivering a result on that call. And instead of having to sell them on myself and my services without adding any value, right? Just by, I mean, listening is value, right? Putting it all together and presenting it back to somebody is value. But what if I could deliver them true value, actionable value, and then present my offering to them? Okay. So this would be much more valuable for them and much more valuable for me and much more valuable for our engagement, right? They're just way more likely to work with me. And imagine instead of getting on a discovery call slash sales call, you're being in your zone of genius the entire time. You see, when you get on a discovery call, you're not necessarily in your zone of genius, right? Because you really get to showcase your zone of genius when you have information to work with. And a intake form gives you good history, a conversation gives you a good history, and it starts the ball rolling. But what if the ball's already in motion when we get on that call, right? So now the tides are turned in everyone's favor. They're getting more value. You're in your zone of genius, doing what you love doing. You're getting paid for that call. And they're several steps ahead in the process of working with you. Okay. So that is what an irresistible offer should sound like, feel like, and be articulated like. So that's where we're going to try to figure out what it is for you. It's going to be maybe similar for some of us. I know certainly people that work in our licensing program, they're welcome to adopt our strategy. For some of you, your strategy can be, unique to you. But by the end of today, we'll figure out what that is. Okay. And at least you'll have your version 1 of your irresistible offer. So you get a sense of why we need to do things a little bit differently, right? If we don't kind of get a sense or adapt to what's coming up, there is like a tsunami that we're just going to get washed away. So if you love what you do, you have to find ways to do it better, more effectively, more competitively. And in this case, I'm going to show you a way that completely flips the script. And what this resulted in for us is in only doing, we did 2 webinars and I did a special private training for a small group. And through those irresistible offers that we made, we had 120 people take us up on the offer. Each of them paid $299 to take us up on that offer. Okay, so we got paid for in advance because the offer was so irresistible. The reason this stemmed, or where this stemmed from, is, as I mentioned, I've been trying to figure this out for quite some time. I have a program that creates life-changing results. And some of you have experienced them for yourself. Some of you offer this program. And, we see literally thousands of lives transformed. But you can't help people unless they're coming to you, right? And until they're coming into the door saying yes, you can't really help them. And I didn't really feel like spending more money on marketing. All right. I would rather, instead of spending $5,000 a month on advertising, I'd rather spend $5,000 treating and delighting my existing clients. All right. It makes more sense for me to do that than to, throw money into a well, hoping that I get some qualified leads from it. Right? It's a very expensive way to do business, and frankly, we don't have the I don't have the money to just throw away at it. Okay, and if you talk to anyone who's worked in this space, they'll pretty much always tell you that it's very rare that they get excellent results with a marketing company. I'm not saying don't do marketing, right? But what we market to is very important, because what I realize is most people try to run ads to get people to schedule a call. We don't want to do that, right? We never want to send cold traffic to get on a phone call with us or on a discovery call with us. Okay, especially if it's free. It's way more expensive for cold traffic to warm up to get on a call with you. It's not the first place they should be starting. And you don't even know if they're qualified to get on that call with you. Okay, so you want to make sure the odds are stacked in your favor. So we wanted to flip that script. So how can we get paid? How can we deliver more value? How can we make it irresistible? That's how you want to start thinking about your offer. I know that you don't love selling, you love serving, right? So if you can be in a place of service or come from a place of service, then you're already going to feel better about yourself, right? The thing that breaks my heart isn't that somebody says no. The thing that breaks my heart is I can't help that person knowing that I can help that person. They're not letting me help them. All right, that's what breaks my heart. So if I could leave them better than I found them, that's a win. Marketing, as I mentioned, is getting a lot more expensive, a lot more competitive. So we have to have a competitive advantage. And the marketplace is also getting noisier, right? So, you go online, and who do you trust these days? What do you trust these days? Okay. Now, people are also, what I've realized is people are looking for very personalized solutions, because ChatGPT can only get you so far, right? ChatGPT has many shortcomings. AI has many shortcomings. I mean, when you see some of the mistakes it makes, you realize how stupid it actually is, how unconscious it actually is. Okay, so our rules are not going away anytime soon. And ChatGPT or AI doesn't know that individual. Okay, so it can only give generic information. So we have to ask ourselves, how is our offer going to be differentiated? Is our offer AI proof? If your offer isn't AI proof, then people will just go look for the information. We don't want to be selling information. We want to be selling opportunity and awareness. And when it comes to awareness, that would be self-awareness. Okay, they need to know something about themselves that only you can help them discover. And when I say only you, I use that term loosely. In their world, only you. How many of you have identified your best hairstylist? Right? How many of you have your best hairstylist? Right? Or your favorite barber, or your best mechanic, right? Everyone, hopefully you have that person in your life. Are they the best in the world? Maybe, but probably not, right? They're the best in your world. So you just have to be perceived as the best in other people's worlds, right? Not everyone's world. So I'll give you a little bit backstory about how this all came to be, and where this idea stemmed from. So a few months ago, the beginning of March, I was in the Dominican Republic, about 80 miles off the shore, in a place called Silver Bank. And Silver Bank is where the northern humpback whales of the Atlantic come to breed and deliver their babies every year. So we were able to swim with humpback whales. It was actually quite a cool and magical experience. Very challenging, very difficult, choppy waters, windy. Like what most people see is the highlight reel, but it's a lot of work to get out there and be out there on water for 8 straight days, um, and it's a lot of fun too. So it's definitely worth it. And I was there with a friend of mine who owns a company that makes air purifiers. So they make the world's best air scrubbers. They're called Jasper. I have one right there and one in every room in my house. And he does something called eccentric generosity. So eccentric generosity for him is like way out there radical for me. And I'll give you an example. So we did so with his air scrubbers, he found out that I was going to be doing some breath work at IFM this past weekend. And he said, Sachin, how about we give everyone who attends your training an air scrubber? And I'm like, dude, that's going to be like over 200 people. And he's like, yep, that's fine. Everyone who attends your breath work, we're going to give them an air scrubber. I'm like, okay, but that's what we're calling eccentric generosity, right? And what I realized, I started studying the economics of his business and how things work. And I'm like, well, this has to work for him financially too, right? He can't just give them away, but he's, very strategically offering these to people who might be more likely to recommend them to their clients or their patients, or have a perceived value, and they're more likely to buy a second one or a third one for their home. Like we have four in our home. So you don't just end up with one. But he also makes money on the filter, right? So he might give you the air scrubber, but then, assuming you replace the filter, if you replace the filter 3 times, then his costs are covered. Okay. So it's irresistible to the person who's receiving it, right? Why wouldn't you? And then on the back end for him is, if he can provide a great service or a great product, you're much more likely to use it, buy a second or third, fourth or fifth one, more likely to recommend it to other people, right? And then, of course, you're going to buy the filter. So in the long run, it makes sense for him, right? Is everyone seeing that? Okay. Or he could spend $600 on Facebook to sell one unit, right? And now Mark Zuckerberg gets the money. There's no, relationship built with the client. It's very transactional versus, hey, you attended this breathing, you're getting this amazing gift, we're going to ship it right to your door. There's a whole experience around it, right? And the unit economics probably work out that it's not that much different, right? So how do you get more creative, right? How do you become more generous? How do you look at your business through a different lens that says, hey, what if I could, eliminate the acquisition cost of the client, right? So his acquisition cost is $0 now. He didn't have to pay to acquire the client. He's gifting the unit, so you might count that as the acquisition cost, but he'll recover that in the long run, right? So when we start getting creative about how we think of our business, or we start looking at other industries and how are they solving for this, it, makes us think, okay, how can we do the same thing? So I'm on this boat, and, thinking about the whales, of course, but then I'm also thinking about, okay, like, how do I bring this into the functional medicine world? Or how do I bring this into the precision wellness world? How do I bring it into my world? And so I came back from the trip and I told Deepa, I said, I'm going to do something really radical. We're just going to try it and see what happens. And we're going to create like a truly irresistible offer. And so that's what we did. And today I'm reverse engineering that process for you. Okay. And the questions I'm going to ask you are going to be really simple. And, this will be your version 1 by the end of today. And you'll be able to reiterate and work with a little bit. So I have a few questions that I want to answer, and I want to like hear your responses. What I've also done is I've created a little form for us to fill out collectively together. So I'm just going to drop it in the chat should you choose to. This is a place where you can grab your ideas and document them so that so you're welcome to share them with me and I can help analyze them. So I dropped a form in the chat, and in the beginning, it's going to ask you about your name and information and everything like that. That shouldn't take you too long to fill out. And then towards the bottom, it's going to start asking you a series of questions. So I just want to make sure that all of you can open that form and it's popping up for you. If I can get a thumbs up. Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Deborah. Perfect. Thanks. Okay. So I'll give you a moment to fill out your name and information. And once you're done filling out your contact information, just type in "done" in the chat. You might get a gift in the mail. So that's why we need your best mailing address. Okay, so once you're done filling out your contact information, just type in "done" in the chat. Okay, I'll wait for a few more dones and then we'll keep moving forward. All right. One more done and then we'll move on. Okay, perfect. So if you haven't finished, just keep filling it out. And pretty easy questions. You should know all the answers to those ones. The first question I want to ask you is, what is your zone of genius? So what's something that you love doing? Your zone of genius usually is the thing that puts you into a flow state. Okay, so for some of you, it might be your zone of genius might be connecting the dots. Right. So if you have enough information, you can connect the dots. For some of you, your zone of genius might be taking complex ideas and making them simple. For some of you, your zone of genius might be looking at a stool test and being able to break it down really quickly and know exactly what to do. For some of you, it might be blood chemistry. Okay. For some of you, it might be assessing the nervous system. The thing that's in your zone of genius, you'll know it's your zone of genius because you feel like it just comes to you naturally. You enjoy doing it and you would do it. You probably are doing it whether you get paid for it or not. Okay, so my zone of genius, if I had to describe it, would be helping people feel safe and seen and helping them connect the dots and understand why what they've done in the past didn't work and connect the dots so that they can know exactly what will work for them. I can do that all day. Okay. What's your zone of genius? I might call on some of you. Kathy, what's your zone of genius? Let's get you unmuted. There. You're still muted, Kathy. Are you able to unmute?
Here we go.
There we go.
My zone of genius is much like yours, helping people make connections that are meaningful in their lives that they wouldn't otherwise have seen. Uh, but once they do, it becomes a big aha moment.
Okay, perfect. So we want to do more of that. Is that something you enjoy
Mhm.
doing?
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Sarah, what's your zone of genius?
Holistic therapies, body work, energy work.
Okay, awesome. Um, let's see. Elizabeth Haynes. Great to see you, Elizabeth. What's your zone of genius?
Mm. I am very tired right now, so
Okay,
good now.
your zone of genius is radical honesty. I love it.
Oh, okay. Sounds good to me.
All right, Deborah, what's your zone of genius?
I love helping people release stress through perception alignment.
Okay, now how do you do that?
Well, I point out to them how far they've come and how blessed they've been through that process, and how whatever stressors are affecting them right now will also liquefy and pass as the ones in the past have.
Okay, great. So giving people perhaps new perspective on how far they've come.
Hmm. Yes.
Amazing. All right. Annalisa, what's your zone of genius?
Mine would be helping people create strong, sustainable health and life systems by turning complexity into clear, actionable frameworks rooted in real world transformation.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful. Awesome. Does anyone else care to share? You can raise your digital hand if you want, or you can just simply drop it in the chat. So we want to be in our zone of genius. Okay. That's where we want to come from because, oftentimes if it's a discovery call, that's the first interaction people have with us, isn't it? It might maybe their second interaction, but most likely it's their first intimate one-on-one interaction they have with us. All right. So we want to be, you know, we want to be in the right state and we want to be in the right zone. And it's easier to exude passion when you're doing something you're really good at and passionate about, and you have a lot of confidence doing. Okay. So step one is of your irresistible offer is all about you. Right. Because when you're in your zone of genius, then people get the best of you. If you're in your zone of fear, which is like, oh my God, it's a discovery call, I've got to make a sale. If you're in your zone of fear or in your zone of panic, then they don't get the best of you either. Okay. So energetically, that makes a big difference. Next is what problem? So, question number two that we want to answer, what problem truly energizes you when you solve it? What problem, when you truly solve, what problem, sorry, when truly energizes you when you solve it? For me, certainly, I love when people have difficulty losing weight and they start dropping weight despite having tried everything. I love that. I love when people tell me they're waking up more refreshed, they're more present, they have better strategies for handling stress, and their nervous system feels more regulated. And I love giving people a long term solution with their health, not just something that is trendy or a hot topic, but something that really um, advice that they can sink their teeth into. That energizes me. All right. What energizes you? Type it into the chat. What problem, when you solve, truly, truly energizes you? So Yvonne says, when people can poop every day. Okay, there you go. Okay, so depression and hopelessness. Okay, so Rajpal, maybe more specificity, like what specifically does a client tell you that lights you up? Getting better, that's great, but it's vague, right?
Well, I meant by that, like, their fatigability is
Mm-hmm.
dissipating and they feel indeed more energized, um, and lots of emphasis in decreasing the amount of supplements and pills they're taking and put a major shift on lifestyle changes for the long run.
Okay, so whatever energizes you, right? That has to be highlighted in your offer, right? So what Rajpal said, hey, I want to get you off supplements, right? I want to minimize, without compromising, I want to minimize the supplements you take, right? I want you to have less fatigability, more energy, right? So um, the thing that lights us up, the result that lights us up, the clarity that we give to the client, that needs to be considered in our offer. Okay. So Kathy says, I'm energized when women listen to their body and say yes. Okay, great. Lori says, I love seeing when my menopausal women finally start losing weight and gaining energy. Amazing. Okay, Sarah says, creating order, peace, and beauty. That's wonderful. I love it. So keep this language in mind as we, in a moment, craft our offer. Now, considering the problems that you solve, right, it also has to be something that they're looking to have a solution for. And so generally speaking, we want to have a sense of what our client's dialogue might be. And so, Sarah, just since yours is one of the more recent ones, it's unlikely that somebody's waking up saying, I need more order, peace, and beauty in my life. Okay. Now, that might energize you when you help solve for that. But what is the thing that would bring them in, right? What is the language that would bring them in? Maybe they're feeling overwhelmed and stressed, and they don't recognize themselves in the mirror. See how it's saying the same thing, but differently, right? Because that's likely what they're going to say, right? Are you feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or burnt out, and don't recognize yourself in the mirror anymore? Make sense? Okay. Can't lose weight, says Lori. Feel puffy and can't poop. Bloated, constipated, gassy, and grumpy. There's a theme here today. Yvonne and Lori, you're going to have to like share notes. Maybe you'll have a similar offer, the constipation consult. Let's get going to get you going. All right. So the question is, what makes your solution to this problem unique? What makes your solution to this problem unique? So, kind of speaking to Lori and Yvonne, each of you both might have something similar, or it might be totally different, right? You're both kind of tackling a little bit of the, bowel motility stuff, but the way you solve that problem might be different. What's unique about your approach?
Detailed history testing.
Okay. So maybe there's a unique test that you do, right? That could be one. Something that is unique and different than what they've done before. And ideally, something that's specific or unique to you. It could be a lab. It could be maybe a special training that you have, or a way to an assessment tool that you have. Okay, what makes your solution to the problem unique? Now, I'm gonna just call on Kat here. So yours says authentic concern, deeper listening, collaborating, strategizing actions with the individual. How many of you would that apply to? How many of you would that apply to, that you do that? Okay, so most people are raising their hands, right? And I know this is a skewed population, Kat, but what would make your offer unique that nobody else can offer? Okay, so definitely I want you to maintain that authenticity, the deep listening, collaboration, the strategizing, right? The individualized care. But what can set you apart from other people? Right? Maybe there's a test that you use. Maybe there's a method, a framework that you use, that you apply, that is unique to you. Okay. Now you have our solution already, so you could, go through this exercise to just become familiar with the concept of creating an irresistible offer. But you can always lean on what we've created. Okay. Deborah says, I draw from personal life experiences, which no one has lived through. Yeah, that's definitely unique. There's also another consideration of what makes it unique for them, right? Or what makes it specific for them. So if let's say, I draw from my personal life experience, which no one has lived through, we could all kind of say that, right? And that isn't to take away or diminish what you're saying, but we could all say that and it would be accurate. Okay. So maybe there's a methodology that you use, Deborah. Maybe you have the DeRosa methodology that is unique to you, right? That is an acronym that stands for your unique process to helping them solve their issue. Maybe it's an assessment tool that you use, okay, that nobody else uses. Or maybe it's a special training that you have. So it's a methodology that nobody else uses, or very few people use. Certainly you don't have to be the only one. Okay. So David's got his mosaic method, right? And and he's got a few other frameworks that he uses, so that makes it unique to him. Now, the next question I have for you is, what frustration or friction does your approach remove? What frustration or friction does your offer eliminate, reduce, or remove? Okay. So our offer is a genomic test. Okay. So when people do a genomic test, we remove the guesswork. We eliminate the need to guess with your health anymore. right? We reduce the amount of money, time, and energy that you're wasting trying to guess what the right thing is for you. Thank you, Olga. So if I run a DNA test on you, then we eliminate the guesswork, right? We don't have to start by guessing. We can start by knowing. And then I'll demonstrate to you why the things you've done in the past may not have worked. So you don't feel crazy anymore. You don't feel like you didn't try hard enough, right? Losing is getting really good or trying really hard at doing the wrong thing, right? Winning is doing the right thing. And the results come much easier. Okay, so what friction do you remove? So maybe, if you run a stool test on somebody as part of your irresistible offer, right, we're eliminating any guessing, right? We know exactly where to start. If you do a blood panel, maybe you're doing a metabolic blood panel on somebody, you know exactly where to start. Maybe your offer is that you're going to, you're welcome to use this idea, but let's say you're a blood sugar and metabolism coach, right? Your offer could be, hey, when you take me up on this blood sugar offer, we're going to send you a CGM. You're going to wear that CGM for 2 weeks. Then we're going to get on a call and review your intake form and your CGM data. As part of this offer, I'm going to give you the CGM for free. All you have to pay for is our time together, where I will interpret this information and review your form and next steps with you. Okay, so see, when we do something like that, if that's your offer, right? Can you see how that's kind of an irresistible offer? Right? Much better than, hey, let's jump on a call and then you got to sell them on a CGM, right? And you're just kind of assuming that their blood sugar is going to be off. You have no idea what the results are going to say. You're flying blind, right? But imagine having 2 weeks of CGM data from that person and then getting on a call with them, right? And them having paid for that call in advance. And because you're giving them the CGM, let's call it for free, and they're paying for your time, you're not devaluing your time. Right? See, when we do a free discovery call, what are we telling people? Right? That our time is invaluable. Right? At an unconscious level, and then we're trying to charge for it, right? So we've just given them an hour of our time for free, and then we want them to pay a few $100s or a few $1,000s or several thousands of dollars, and charge for our time. So you can see how there is, like, at a spirit and soul level, at an energetic level, there's like a kink in that. Does everyone see that? Raise your hand if that's making sense for you. Right? So we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot by doing that, and I'm guilty of this too. So don't think that I'm not speaking from my own experience. I'd rather give away the CGM for free than give away my time for free. Okay, one is an act of generosity. The other one is cheapening my time. Now, those numbers might be the same, right? Whether I say it's $299 for the consult, or hey, it's $299 for the CGM and the consult is free, I'd rather say the CGM is free. And that's my gift to you. My time is not free. You don't have to say all that, but you want to position and create that boundary that your expertise, your time, your knowledge should not be given away for free. Especially if you're going to create a breakthrough and create value for people. And if they're not willing to pay you for, whatever that nominal fee is, right? You don't even have to charge your full hourly rate. It could be an introductory rate if you want. Then they're probably not going to pay you for the rest of the work you're going to do. All right. So, what frustration or friction point does your offer remove? All right. Last question. What would make your offer irresistible without lowering the value of your time? What would make your offer irresistible without lowering the value of your time?
I would say something that is reasonable priced and can be done at home easily.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what would make your offer irresistible without lowering the value of your time? So a lot of it has to do with how we position ourselves within the offer, right? So, like I said, I prefer to. My preference is to gift the test that we offer, as opposed to gift my time. Numbers might all be the same and might be perfectly same numbers, but it's the perception. Okay. I want to, even in my own mind, I want to safeguard and have high value and high regard for my time. If I don't value my time, other people won't value my time. Okay. So, yeah, the CGM idea that's excellent, right? If you're working with metabolic clients, then that's perfect, right? If you're working with GI clients, then maybe a stool test, or if there's a blood panel that you think is highly effective. I want to go through a process that really helped us. I'm just going to share my screen here. And this was by drawing out a matrix. So I'm going to share this with you, and then this will help us all kind of start putting our offers together. One second. My computer is giving me the beach ball, which means it's thinking. Okay. Sarah, can you see my screen? Thumbs up. Okay, perfect. So you should see my iPad here. And what I want you to do is just draw a line that goes just straight up and across, just like this. Now, we want to imagine, these four quadrants as our as the position that we might find our clients in. And so I want to give you some ideas to start thinking about when you think about these quadrants. Most people that you're working with and who are stuck are going to be in this bottom left quadrant. Where we want to move people to and get them to see themselves moving to is into this upper right quadrant. So we want people to go from here to here. So you want to start thinking about the place your clients are stuck, right? The challenge that your clients have and what's potentially keeping them stuck there. I'm going to share what we did. And again, you're welcome to apply it into your business how you see fit. So what I see in our practice when it comes to metabolic health, especially when people are trying to lose weight, as an example, is that we see people doing what we would call as a one size fits all. Okay. And many of you can probably relate to that, right? Your clients are doing kind of generic things, right? May not be. So if somebody's constipated, they're taking fiber, right? That's like a one size fits all approach. But what if it's the wrong type of prebiotic they're taking? What if their problem isn't more fiber? What if it's their vagus nerve? Right? What if it's their chronic stress? What if it's a food intolerance that they have that's causing this? What if it's not enough bile secretion that's causing their constipation? All right. There could be a variety of different reasons, but think of a one size fits all approach. And what's the opposite of one size fits all? It would be personalized. Okay, so the opposite of one size fits all is personalized, or I might even say precise. Now, the other thing that keeps people frustrated and stuck and spinning in circles for our avatar is people do things that are trendy. Right. So one week it's keto, the next week it's carnivore, the next week it's vegan, and then it's pescatarian. Then it's one meal a day, then it's 10 meals a day. Right. So there's all kinds of trends that people keep bouncing around from. And they're hoping that one of these trends works for them. Right. So maybe their friend Susan did, keto and it worked for them. So they're just going to assume that, hey, let me try keto and see if that works. Right. So they're in that one size fits all, what's trending, and they're just kind of spinning here in circles. Now, what's the opposite of trendy? The opposite of trendy is timeless. Okay. So I want my clients to go from a one size fits all, doing the latest trend on TikTok or Instagram or the thing that their, coworker tried. I want them going from that spinning circle, right? Where they feel lost or they're stuck, or maybe something works temporarily and then, it doesn't work for them long term. And they're right back to where they started. I want them to have tools that are timeless and personalized and precise for them. Okay. So then I have to start thinking about, okay, what can I offer them that gets them there? And what can I offer them that keeps them there? Okay. So for me, the thing that I can offer people that's timeless and personalized is DNA, right? Your DNA, once you know that information, run that lab, that test will be the same test every time you do it, same result every time you do it, right? So it's timeless and it's personalized for them. The other thing that's personalized and timeless, from my perspective, is a regulated nervous system. Right? How you regulate your nervous system is unique to your circumstances based on your stressors, your lived experience, your emotional state, right? Your environment, all of those things impact your nervous system. So if I can teach you how to regulate it, that's something you'll have for the rest of your life. And it'll be personalized and precise for you. Okay. So I want you to start thinking about what your matrix might look like. And we can, have an example of, let's say, we'll go here and we'll just use some examples that we had. And I might call Lori or Yvonne. So on the left-hand side over here, we might have constipated. Right. And over here, we have normal bowels. On the bottom, we might have, let's erase this. Yvonne, Lori, what would you say could go on the bottom here? Feel free to unmute yourself if you like. Okay, so
you could still put trendy and timeless.
Okay, so we could put that.
It would still work because everybody's on TikTok is telling you what to eat or take to be free flowing, if you know what I mean. And it could just be stomach acid. So
yeah, so here we could put one size fits all, and here we could put personalized, right?
Right.
So we could play around with this, and you can use something. What I want everyone to do is just see the contrast, right? So what are the two words that would describe your ideal client's outcomes, right? So in your case, Lori, it might be, we're gonna get you going normal again, right? Or you're gonna have regular bowel movements, and we're gonna come up with a personalized solution for you. It could be personalized and timeless, right? So you'll always know what to do when this pops up in the future. Now, some people might say, sympathetic response on one side and a parasympathetic response. So it could be calm versus stressed, or stressed on the left-hand side and calm on the right-hand side, right? Sympathetic dominance versus, sympathetic balance, or parasympathetic balance. An unregulated nervous system versus a regulated nervous system. Could be supplement versus food. Yeah. So I want you to compare and contrast, right? So you really have to know your ideal customer and ideal audience and what keeps them stuck. Like what would resonate with them. So when I present my workshop, Impossible Weight Loss, most people are feeling like they're doing a one size fits all, and they're just kind of guessing and hoping something works. And maybe they've tried things that have worked temporarily, but we want them to do things that are going to be timeless. And instead of guessing and hoping something works, they can know for certain what's going to work for their body. Okay, so I just want to stop here for a second. Is this making sense to everyone? Okay. Now you may or may not have those quadrants figured out just yet, but I want you to play with that. Maybe you have the idea, but maybe not the words, right? So you can navigate with that. In our case, what we did was we did two things that were quite radical. So the first thing I did is I gave everyone a copy of my book and a 4-week course called Breathe, Balance, and Burn. It's a set of breathing practices and trainings that teach people how to shift into a more parasympathetic state, downregulate their cortisol production, and get rid of stubborn belly fat. Okay, so if your nervous system is dysregulated, you will always be more prone to stubborn belly weight. Right? Your highest cortisol receptor density is in the abdomen. So that's why it shows up there. And this is why all the exercise you've been doing isn't working, because it's not an exercise problem, it's a cortisol problem. So the best thing I can offer you isn't a supplement, it's actually teaching you how to breathe. Okay, not only is it extremely powerful, but once you learn it and learn the techniques, you'll be able to apply them for the rest of your life, right? So that's something extremely valuable that I can offer people. Right. And it makes me cringe a little bit that I'm giving it away. And that's how you want to feel, right? There has to be some resistance from you. That's how you know it's irresistible to them. And the second thing we can offer is a genetic test, right? I want to put an end to people's guessing and suffering and struggling. And I want to help people understand what diet long-term is right for them. What type of exercise is best for them? What nutrient deficiencies are they likely to have? What hormonal imbalances are they likely to have? Right? So instead of guessing, my gift to you is I'm going to gift you this genetic test. And then we're going to sit down for an hour and we're going to interpret this test for you and help you understand where and why you're stuck. All I ask is that you pay for my time to review the lab with you and spend that hour with you. And in fact, I'm going to charge you less than half what I normally charge. So if you were to go to our website and purchase this test and consultation, it's normally $749. For being here today, we're going to offer it to you for only $299. You'll get the course, you'll get the test, you'll fill out an assessment form, and you'll get the consultation with me. At the end of that call, you'll get a copy of the report. And for those of you who are the right fit, we'll help you implement a plan specifically for you. Your one-of-one plan that you can use for the rest of your life. So see how simple that offer is to make? Yeah, I feel excited about making that offer, right? Because one is I'm getting paid, right? Immediately, they're going to take action, if they're the right fit. If they're not the right fit, then we'll also know as well, right? If you make somebody a no-brainer offer and they don't take action, that has nothing to do with your offer, right? It has more to do with them. And then people will ask, can I just order the test? Yeah, you can order the test. It's $499. If you just want the test, it's $499. Right? But if you'd like me to gift you the test and do the interpretation, it's $299. So if they're not willing to do that, then they're maybe not willing to solve the problem. Right? So Lori says, yeah, it's a no-brainer. I think it's a no-brainer, right? And 120 people thought it was a no-brainer. And we didn't spend a single penny at advertising. See, Sura's cringing about the offer. Yeah, that means it's an irresistible offer. All right. I have no resistance offering this because I love helping people solve problems. I love the opportunity to and the possibility to help them and walk that path with them and take that next step with them. And I love that I get to be in my zone of genius. Right. And they get to witness it. So they know what they're saying yes and what they're saying no to. And I'm delivering on my promise, right? I'm getting that test to them. They're providing the sample. We're interpreting it for them, right? So there's a transaction that's taken place and there's some closure that's taken place. And what I tell people is listen, if you were to order the user manual for your car online and they shipped it to you, does that make you a mechanic? Probably not, right? If you could buy the user manual for your car, you probably wouldn't start working on it, right? You wouldn't pretend that you're a mechanic. You'd probably want someone to help you, right? You'd probably want someone to look over your shoulder to make sure you're doing it right instead of trying to figure it out by yourself, right? And once somebody shows you, then they don't have to keep teaching you, but somebody has to teach you how to do it right the first time, right? And that's, I mean, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's essentially the offer when they get on the call with me. Right? Let's learn this once and for all. Let's implement this once and for all. Because I know that if I just hand this to you, this 34-page report, you're going to get overwhelmed and you're probably going to not know where to start and not know what to do. And that would make this a complete waste of our time and your time. And guess what? Most people have been ready to move forward. In fact, for me, it's been 80% of people are ready to take that next step. Not everyone, which still kind of shocks me, but that's okay. But 80% of people are just like, let's go. Right? They didn't come this far to just stop. So you see, like if you run a lab on them beforehand, right? And now you're interpreting that lab, if that's part of your offer, then you can see that they're not just going to trust themselves and leave it up to themselves to solve this now. They want the trusted expert. Right. And for some people, our metabolic reset is the right next step. And for some people, it might be more of a bespoke program for them, a more customized program for them. Just depends on what they need. When I send a replay, I'm going to send you I'll send you the link to the actual offer. Okay. So we did a webinar, we presented the offer, and then we created an offer page. Hang on. Okay. So I'm actually going to post it in the chat for you. I'm just going to share it with you guys since you're here. So if you click on this link, I'm going to walk you through this because this is part of it. Okay. So this is the landing page for watching the replay from the workshop. Okay. When you come here, it'll say claim my DNA test, breath course, and consult for $299. And they're going to use coupon code DNA. What I also did was I recorded a short offer about the video. So taking basic supplement. Okay. And this walks you through like how I present the offer itself. So you can look through here. Here's the test. I walk through the test, what's included, the root cause analysis. and then the offer stack, right? So it's the Breathe, Balance, Burn book and course, the genetic test, the intake form, and then the consultation. Okay, and then the price. So now they come here, they click on this link if they want to move forward. Breaks down for them what's included. There's a sample report. If somebody wants to click on it, they can see it. And then here you'll see the fee is $749, right? So the test plus the consult would normally be that. They click here, they enter their information in. Okay, and then here they go to pay now, and then they enter the coupon code. So once they enter the coupon code, then it adjusts the pricing and brings it down to the $299. So how we structure this component is also important as well, right? The regular price is the price anchor. Okay, and then the coupon code is what creates the discount, right? So then there's a certain psychology of seeing that $450 off. So we wouldn't want to just put it as, I mean, that's what we do charge, right? So if you were to just want to come in and buy this, then, and we weren't running this offer, that's what it would cost. So the price anchor and the coupon code, again, helps them understand the value that they're getting, right? Again, further anchoring that this is like a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't you do this, right? Especially if it takes you from spinning in circles to having answers once and for all. Okay. So I know we covered a lot and we kind of workshopped through this. I want to review the questions again, make sure you answer them. And then I have an offer for you, for those of you that are really interested in taking it to the next level, because once you have your irresistible offer, and you feel comfortable and confident with it, then I'm so sure that what happened to us is going to happen to you. Now, you may not want 120 new patients in a month. I'm not suggesting that be your goal, but what if you could have an extra 5 calls this month? What if you could have an extra 10 calls? What if the people that you've already spoken to over the last 6 months just needed an offer like this to get them started? Right. So you could probably already think of people like, man, like Susan, like she kind of slipped through the cracks. What if I could make her this offer? Of course she would say yes. Way more likely to say yes than a random person. Right. So some of you might even have a Rolodex of people that you could present this offer to that's a bit of a warm audience for you, that knows you, that maybe got on a call, but maybe just needed a little bit of a nudge, or maybe you even felt like, man, if we had this information, it would be so great. Maybe that's the person you reach out to. Okay. But it's good to have a set of eyes, right? Just kind of looking over your shoulders, making you have your offer dialed in. So first question is, what is your zone of genius, right? That's the place we want to operate from. So our offer has to be irresistible, but it also has to be us in our zone of genius. The next thing is, what problem truly energizes you when you solve it? Like, you have to be amped up to solve this problem. So Surah, if you take somebody who's got severe acne or severe skin issues, and it lights you up to see them solve that problem, right? Lori gets excited when people start losing weight, having more energy and more regularity. Okay. Yvonne gets excited, and what lights her up and energizes us is when their detox pathways are open, right? When they're not so full of crap anymore, right? That's what lights her up. And then we've got question number 3 is, what makes your solution to this problem unique? And it doesn't have to be unique amongst your peers. Okay, so we're not trying to, out uniquify each other in this group. There might be overlap between what we offer. We're trying to be unique compared to what they've tried in the past. right? Like, man, if I wish I could find out what the root cause of this is. I wonder what my microbiome is like. I wonder what my hormones are like. I'm trying to get my doctor to order hormones and they're not doing it for me. Maybe they are doing it, but they're ordering the wrong test, right? If you work with thyroid clients, maybe your gift is to them is like, hey, let's run a comprehensive thyroid panel on you, right? That costs, 100, $150. I like genetic testing because they don't have to get a phlebotomist. They can do it from their home, ship it out. It's really easy. Question number 4 is, what frustration or friction does your approach remove? Right. And here we start thinking about moving people in the matrix, right? So if they're in the bottom left, right, one size fits all trendy. The top right is personalized and timeless. What quadrants are you moving them from and to? Right. Constipated to free flowing, stressed to balanced, right? Restless to waking up refreshed if you're working with clients on sleep, right? Fatigue to energized. Next is, what would make your offer irresistible without compromising or lowering your value, right? Remember, like I said, I'd rather give the CGM away or the test away than my time away. And really, it's a lot of this is about perception as well and creating boundaries. Okay. And if you go to our website and schedule a discovery call, it's $299, whether you get the test or not. And there's people that find us that way and they go online and schedule that way. And we're okay with that because they're paying for our time, not the test. So what would make your offer irresistible? Safeguarding the value of your time. When you can answer those 5 questions, I would bookmark the page that I shared in the chat so you can study that page, study how I present the offer. Okay, it's about a 14-minute video, and start using that as a source of inspiration for yourself if you'd like. Okay. Now, we had a form that we had you fill out, which is the Google form, the irresistible offer form. And what I suggest is that if you're interested in having me review your offer with you, you can put in yes, right? Would you like help creating this offer? You can put in yes. And if you do, then I'm going to drop a link where you can schedule a time for me and you to go over your offer together. Okay. So we'll get an hour one-on-one. I'll review the offer with you. You'll present it to me. We'll go back and forth, answer questions, stress test the offer, make sure it's irresistible, make sure you're communicating it correctly, and then give you some strategy on how to start presenting it and who to start presenting it to. And then what happens is now with this new offer, you can go back to old clients. You can go back to people who you've already worked with and let them know, hey, I've got this offer. Do you know anyone who's interested? You can go back to clients who you spoke with 6 months ago and say, hey, we're running this very special offer. I think it would be perfect for you. This will help us X, Y, Z. Okay. So if you're interested in exploring that, which to me would be, that would be the next step for you is going about that with me and having me review it with you. And I actually do it for a very special price. It's only $247. And the reason it's $247 is because that was the number that was given to me during my ayahuasca program. Okay, so when I did ayahuasca, the medicine spoke to me and said, this is your magic number. So if you want to book with me, you're getting me at a very, very reduced or spiritual rate, if that's the right way to put it. Not reduced, not diminishing my value. but at a very special price. So you can click on that link, find a time that works, and then you and I will sit down, review your offer. I'll help you present it. And it's not a sales call because you're paying for this call. Okay. So it's not a call where you get on with me and I pitch you a program. It's us reviewing your offer together. Okay. So that would be your next step. Certainly, you could try to build all of this on your own, but having done this myself and being on the other side of the experience, I can certainly help you. Even if you sell one more consult because of our conversation, it more than pays for itself. So that would be your next step. Okay. I'll stick around. I know I went way over time because I just love, this is my zone of genius and my passion to help people. But if anyone has a question, I'll take a couple of questions right now. If you're feeling stuck, this is a good time to ask that question. And then if you're jumping on, sitting on the fence about scheduling a call, Yvonne says, the call like this that I had last month for my program was very helpful. Thank you, Yvonne. I appreciate that. Okay. My schedule is pretty booked out, Dave. So, you might have to look a few weeks in advance. That gives you some time to watch any videos about the offers, gives you time to watch the replay if you need to. And then it gives you time to, kind of play with your offer as well. So you can come with something to present to me and we can review it together. Any questions before we jump off? Was this helpful today? Who found it helpful? Okay, great. What I'm going to do is, yeah, Sarah, I love the spiritual, right? Yeah, it's my wife said, you need to charge more than that. I'm like, no, ayahuasca gave me a very specific number and I'm sticking with it. So, that to me, that all that stuff is very important. So book a time there. And then if you would like, and if you found today helpful, I'm going to leave a link here where you can leave a review. So if you enjoyed our session today, if you've enjoyed any of the sessions I've shared with you, all I ask in return is that you action what we teach you. And for those of you that feel called, you can schedule a time to meet with me. I'm a very busy person, as Dave can tell from my calendar, right? So I don't need more appointments on my calendar. But if you're serious and you're committed, then I'm happy to help you. And then if you would leave a review, right? Just share, help me spread the word. Okay. You can schedule any time. My schedule is not getting any less busy with these 120 consults that are coming up. So the sooner you nail something down, the sooner you can start working towards that timeline as well. Let's see, Lori, the review link doesn't work. Worked for me. Let's see. Try that. See if that works for you. Okay, that wouldn't work for you. Okay. It's funny. It should take you to the exact same spot, but sometimes the internet does weird things. So yeah, leave a review. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Okay, so nobody raised their hands. So I either did a really good job or a really bad job, or you're just a quiet bunch today, or you're processing, whichever one it is. I won't make up stories in my head. But sit with this. Sit with what we talked about today. Okay. Again, there has to be some resistance to what you're giving away. It has to feel like you're giving away something really valuable. That's what makes it irresistible, right? The person has to perceive that as well. And then the economics have to work for your business too. Okay. Remember, if you were to go online and acquire a lead to get on a discovery call, you're at $300 to $500. So even if it costs you $200 to get on that call, it's still cheaper than Facebook advertising and marketing. But what if you could make money getting on that call? Right? That changes everything. What if the client pays you and then the lab bills you and then you have 30 days to pay it, right? Think about what that does for your cash flow situation as well, right? You get paid up front, and then you have 60 days to pay that bill, right? So you could reinvest that money into your business. You could use it however you want. But that also changes the cash flow dynamics versus paying into an ad agency, paying into Facebook ads, warming up that audience, and then hoping somebody pays. You're already thousands of dollars in the hole at that point. Right. So this totally flips the script. Okay. This could be game changing for you guys. Okay. And I hope I did a good enough job, like helping it click for you. Because once it clicked for me, then it just became so clear and obvious. All right. Let's see. Yvonne, do you want to share something or ask a question?
Just wondering if there is like an ideal a price point, like to sell them into your program for after this call, right? Like my introductory program is $9.97, what we talked about on my call with you last month.
Yep.
Right. And so, like where, like a quarter of the price of the kind of program, is that, you know what I mean? Is there any kind of magic number in there that sort of?
Well, I think I may have even mentioned that there's probably room for you to charge more, right, for what you do. So with that being said, tell me what you're thinking about offering. That'll help me understand better.
Well, I've taken some training on genetic testing and, how that applies to gut health, but I don't feel qualified and ready for that just yet. And I think that would be a great transition into my full program, like my $1,500, $2,000 program, right? But kind of the whole selling point of the introductory program is that it doesn't require a bunch of testing. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of money to get started. And so, in my Gut Thrive days when Krista was alive, we had an assessment that we could do, which would have been perfect for this. And so I could create my version of assessment that would tell, help me to understand whether there's bile flow is a problem, is it digestive enzyme, is it stomach acid, right? Like what types, where in the digestive function of the digestive system, are they most likely having struggles with, so that they can see that it is a functional issue, not chasing what infection it is. They don't need to know what infection it is in order to start getting going and getting healing.
Yeah. And then you can also, like, I mean, for some people I know working with gut, like histamine is a big issue, right? So, that could be a test that you potentially offer. I think one of the things that I realized is that people really like testing.
Right. See, I was also looking into like the Tiny Health type of gut program, or there's one in Canada. I can't remember what it's called. Gut Check or something like that.
Gut Check, yep.
Yeah, which is actually a really affordable price, for Canadians in comparison, right? Because it's in Canada.
How much is that test?
I think it's only $250.
So that's I think that's a great place to start, right? Gut health coach, Gut Check, right? This is where we start. We test, we don't guess. And this will lay down the groundwork for your healing to start. And then they pay you for the interpretation of it.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So maybe you charge $299 for that, right? Or $365, $350. I mean, whatever you want, right? I'm not here to tell you what to charge, but you'd want to charge more than the $250.
Yeah, cover your test plus at least cover a portion of your time.
Yeah, like shipping, logistics. There's probably going to be emails back and forth. You probably have to order the test kit, right? So if you just charge cost, then you're kind of losing money. But even then, what is losing money, right? When your stop loss is $300, right? So if you break even, you're still $300 ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, you didn't just give them a free call for it cost you, $200.
Right. Exactly. Yep. And then you could probably, contact Gut Check, right? And if you're moving a certain number of kits every month doing this, right, then it would probably be
they do
easier.
They have a promotion where, if you have them certain numbers, then you get a better price and stuff.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's way more. The other one, the genetic test, if you do it through I'm not sure if it's as good, but the AOR test is much, much cheaper for a Canadian to take than like the my DNA test, right? Like it's half the price. So it still helps get them started on things at least, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's lots of, in the sub like 300, somewhere in that price range, or less. There's a variety of different labs. Like, I don't know if Cyrex Lab still does this, but they had a saliva screening test for autoimmunity.
Mm.
And that's an easy test for people to do. And that was like, I think $150. It's maybe more than that now if they still offer it. But that was great for autoimmune clients. You just screen them and see what tissues they have antibodies for.
Right.
And that could be a great place to start for them.
Right.
The nice thing about, doing a lab test is there's a sense of urgency. So if you do a stool test, then there's a sense of urgency that, hey, like this result will only is relevant for a certain period of time, right? Like you can't come back a year from now with this test and want me to and assume it's the same result.
Yeah.
So there is a sense of urgency when you do testing to action it as well, right? So that's also a good consideration, that if they're getting a lab done, if it's just a survey, there's no sense of urgency.
Right.
Or if it's just a form that they fill out. But if they've done the lab, then it's like, okay, well, I can do nothing and this is a complete waste of money, or I can action this and start feeling better now that I know where to start.
Right.
Okay, Doctor. Awesome. Thanks, Yvonne. Dr. Chris.
Okay, I didn't unmute. Thank you for your precision on this discussion tonight. Very, very helpful. Very helpful.
My pleasure.
My one question is, the webinar I noticed is it an hour and 37 minutes long that's being offered on your offer?
So that's the entire program webinar. So that's the training that we did, like the Impossible Weight Loss training.
Is that what people are seeing to get the offer?
So that would be the presentation that they would be on that presents the offer to them. Yes, correct. So it goes into the background, and then towards the end, we make the offer. Now, we also, if you scroll down on that same page, there's an offer listing or a video that explains just the offer itself.
Okay. So they are not paying to get the webinar. The webinar is for them to watch first. There's no fee.
Correct. Yeah, there's no fee for that.
Okay. And I assume that your fee for the genetic test is $299. Is that the gift?
Correct.
Is that your cost? Right. Okay. So you're gifting the genetic test.
Correct. That's that and the course.
Nice. Okay. No, this is very, very helpful. I hope to talk to you more about it in the future.
Yeah, certainly. Absolutely. Happy to help.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure. Dave, I think I need to check my services because it may be blocked out, so you can't book too far in advance. Give me 1 second, Dave. Let me just see if I can correct that on my end, okay?
Cool. So when we submit that form that we did together tonight, section, will we receive a copy of our results, what was said on that form as well, or just for you?
If you need a copy, I can send it to you. I think the form is set up so that you get a copy.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's amazing.
Try now, Dave, and see if that works. See if there's anything. I set it to 60 days. See if there's something that pops up for you.
Second.
And if you're, for whatever reason, sometimes I probably should have checked this more carefully.
It works now, Session.
It works now? Okay.
It works now. I see appointments now.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for letting me know, Dave. I appreciate that. Okay. Well, awesome, everyone. I hope you got some value out of today. I hope this inspires you and kind of gives you some new perspective on your offer. As I mentioned, the next step from my perspective would be, let's jump on a call. Let's review your offer together. Let's talk it through. Let's troubleshoot it. Let's look at it from every possible perspective and angle and have a meaningful conversation around it. And I hope that kind of sets the springboard for you to confidently recommend what you're doing to more people. All right. Well, it's way past the time I said I was going to go. So thank you for some bonus time with you today, and have a wonderful evening, everyone. All right. I'll talk to you all soon.